Okay, so we are now recording and our live stream on Facebook.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Give it just another minute before 6:30. I was gonna ask if anybody else seen that bear in town again today?
Nope, not that I've heard of, maybe with the moose.
I almost seen a moose on 10 Road.
Yeah, have you heard him, seen him lately though?
I haven't seen him again. I think he was on his way over to the meadow
Yeah.
and I interrupted him. And instead of continuing to the meadow, he ran down 10 Road and went right by my house. Turned in the whole damn Delaware home
Oh, yeah?
across from me.
Mm-hmm.
Turned in their driveway and I never saw him again.
Wow, we saw a black bear right on the Milford Bradley Town line on Sunday, and then somebody posted yesterday on that Bradley community thing that it sat in their driveway for like an hour.
Yeah.
That was
But I'm posted.
Eddington line though,
Yeah, way down there, yeah.
Down there too?
yeah.
It's down in Jim's country.
Did you get calls about the moose?
No, I'd seen it on a
Oh.
post for you or whatever. No.
It started out in the morning at Heidi Gipper's yard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when she went out on her deck to have coffee, it was right there next to her deck.
Honest.
And then, I don't know where it went during the day, but then he showed up at night down the place.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Hello, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Hello.
Okay. So it looks like it is 6:30 now. I will open the June 4 Bradley Town Council meeting. All councilors are present, as well as Town Manager Milne. Fire Chief Eric Gifford is here as well, and we're live on Facebook live stream. I'll make a motion to accept the May 21st, 2024 Town Council minutes as presented this evening.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded about the minutes from the last meeting. Any comments, questions, corrections? Was there a correction?
Charlie had sent me a couple typos and I fixed those on the original ones that are posted on the website in the book, but yeah, those have been changed.
Okay,
The content is all the same.
so we'll vote on that. Jim?
Aye.
Dwayne?
Aye.
Charlie?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
Marks and I. Jump down to citizens requests. Okay, we'll check the live stream later as well, if we usually do. We'll jump down to manager's report though.
So I don't have too much to report. I put some stuff in your boxes over the last couple of weeks and I just wanted to follow up to see if you had any questions. The first one that I put in your box, I think, was that the climate, Penobscot Climate Action Plan has been completed. And I gave you a memo that outlined the plans and strategic plan that they had for the Penobscot climate plan, and I didn't know if anybody had any further questions or comments about that.
I think you maybe told us once, I see that we're not eligible for that. Can you remind us?
Well, we are eligible, we were part of the climate action plan. However, they are focusing on a grant through EPA. that we are not, Bradley is not eligible for. But they are gonna continue to look for funding opportunities, and I will continue to participate and read through their minutes, et cetera, to see if any opportunities come up for us. The grant for the EPA, I think it was a population type thing where Bradley wasn't included in that. So yeah,
And then remind me, it only affects really pretty much 178 for us, right?
well, that's for the BACs, the regional transportation. But this climate plan, they actually, I don't remember, I think it was in March of 22 or 23, they came in and talked to us and just explained that they were going to do some work in Penobscot County involving all the communities that BACs participates with, the 11 communities, and come up with a climate action plan to help eliminate the green gas or whatever the purposes of climate action is. But, they're talking about like doing culvert inventories to assess for stormwater drainage and improving solar availability to residential and commercial buildings, retrofitting older buildings.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things there that, look like you would be good. You
Yeah.
participate, the walkable neighborhoods, like you said, the retrofitting the housing stock.
We, our buildings are fairly new and we fitted them with heat pumps, so, and LED lighting, so, we've taken advantage of all the funding opportunities that have come our way, but I will continue to monitor it for future funding. The other, action that I put in the boxes was regarding, actually Eric and I've been working quite a bit on this, the OSHA standards regarding fire suppression and emergency services. As I stated in the memo, the document from OSHA is 604 pages, and I did not read all 604 pages. I'm being completely blunt. And then Eric gave me an outline of the 22 changes that are in the NFPA, which is the National Fire Protection Association or something like that. And so then we got online and got ourselves a membership to NAPA, and I started looking at those standards and what changes are going to be made. I think there's definitely more to learn from and more to come, but I think the biggest thing that they want like policies on every single situation that's going to occur. Eric has several of those policies already in place, but just kind of wanted to give you guys a heads up that in the future, for budgeting purposes, we may have to address some of those new standards.
Melissa, can I ask who McNeil and Company is? Is that somebody looking after our interests?
I personally believe that company is going to be a company that is going to help write all the policies that OSHA requires. And then fire associations or municipalities will purchase them from them to get the standards met.
What if they were an insurance company?
No, it was just one of the webinars that I participated, they mentioned this document and I read it and I thought it did a really good job. Just highlighting what I found in reading the changes that are gonna be coming. To be fair, the changes haven't been done to the standards since like 1980, 1885. And when I did talk to Carol Woodcock from Susan Collins' office about it, and I had some concerns about not only our municipality, but other smaller municipalities and volunteer fire departments. And she agreed, and Susan Collins actually had a conversation with Department of Labor, I think it was, and their comment was basically that they didn't want to lessen the standards for volunteer fire departments because they want the same life assurances as a full-time fire department, which we do too. But we also, these changes are 18 months, they have to be completed. So that's what was, when I first read it, was frightening. But after reading through it, I think we'll be okay.
Is any funding being provided to make changes?
That's what I heard and what I heard from other municipalities is that there's discussion with FEMA to actually add a tier onto their grant process, because now they have, for equipment and firefighter safety, they also have, if you wanted to hire additional EMS and fire, they have that. So this might be another tier of FEMA funding. Any questions on that?
And you said nothing anybody needs to act on immediately.
No, I just wanted you to be aware when we start having to maybe buy tires and all that kind of stuff.
Our structural firefighting gear right now is good until it passes inspection. In the manufacturer, well, the change is gonna be every 10 years, we're gonna change that up. Every 20 years, you're gonna have to buy an apparatus. So,
An apparatus being,
fire. Emergency,
so a fire truck that's more than 20 years old won't be any good.
correct,
Won't be accepted.
Wow.
accepted.
Okay,
So we'll see how that works out.
What's the age of all the vehicles we have now? I know one brand new, but
We got one brand new, one's 2015, and the other's 2021.
okay, so relative.
2020? No, 2000, 2000,
2000 probably, it's
2000.
about the same, yeah.
2000, our pumpers are 2000.
So it's 24 or past.
I will say though, when I read through them, and I didn't read through every page because there is a lot of work, a lot of reading. I wasn't seeing that, you know, apparatuses need to be 20 years or newer or whatever, but that doesn't mean it's not in there. What I was seeing was that, you had to have a policy that the pumper needed to, XYZ of the pumper needed to pass this inspection, and, you know, your tires needed to do this and do that, and so I don't know for sure.
Every year we have to have our pump certified. So that would probably be,
Mhm. I'm not saying it's not in there, because I know other fire departments have talked about that, but I didn't see it in my 10 or 15 hours of reading.
So far.
Also in your boxes, I presented you with an update on the 2024 changes to sale procedures for tax acquired property, something I know, feeling like I've been talking about every meeting, but it's a major change for municipal tax foreclosures. This document was provided by Maine Municipal Association. It was very encompassed, and I felt it did a good job explaining everything I've been talking about forever. But our municipal attorney, as you know, I started to rewrite our foreclosure policy last October. And then they did some changes, and they said you should probably hold off and wait, because we think that there's more legislative changes coming, and there was. And their recommendation is that we actually remove the foreclosure schedule policy, which is dated October 30th, 2022. From our town policy, and simply just follow the law as stated. And so I wanted to know what town council's thoughts were on that.
well, if we have a policy in effect that would essentially abrogate the state law, we can't do that, so.
Right,
But are other municipalities screaming about all this?
no, yes. Yes, I actually did a webinar this morning, and I feel like the more I listen to it, sometimes the more confused I get. It was with a different attorney's office, Penby, Fairbury in Portland, I think the name is, and they were just trying to talk about different options that municipalities have, and one things that we should consider. And one things that I've known about, and we've actually done, is we can waive a foreclosure. So if a property is getting ready to be foreclosed on, the council can say, we're not gonna foreclose on it, and we'll just keep it as is. Keep rolling it in the tax rolls and pay taxes. That happened with the Courier property for a very long time. If you've been a long member of Bradley, there was a junkyard, in 636 Main Street, where we have our cleanup. That was a major junkyard. And when I first became the town manager, the town council had waived the foreclosure for years before that, because they simply didn't want the property, because it was a junkyard and nobody knew what they were to do, what was going on. And so one of the things that I did was we looked into grants through Maine DEP to get it cleaned up and whatever, and now it is what it is. So they're saying one of the processes that municipalities can do, so they don't have to pay any attention to this, is just keep waiving foreclosure. Well, to me, that doesn't seem really appropriate,
Yeah.
because all of these people, you know, we have, 1,500 people in town paying taxes. And this one person just keep going without paying taxes, with nothing occurring on it, and this doesn't seem very realistic, so.
Others may catch on.
Yeah,
There's
right.
a catch on, that's right, and another thing too is like, I talked about it today, is like. The properties that we've foreclosed on since I've been the manager. Needed to be torn down, like they were in disrepair and, causing harm to the neighbors and. We wouldn't want to waive a foreclosure on them simply because, we don't want to deal with a new law, so.
When we did that with the Courier property, Melissa, did we have liens on the place even though we didn't foreclose?
We did end it, and we ended up foreclosing on it. We ended up taking ownership of it and then getting funding through grants to get it cleaned up.
But can you do a lien without necessarily foreclosing?
No, once you do a lien, it automatically forecloses unless you waive the foreclosure. And you have to do so before it actually automatically forecloses.
One thing I'd like to know is whether the state legislature went further here than what the Supreme Court required. I
really don't-
heard this decision when it came down from the Supreme Court. It didn't seem this to owners.
Yeah,
I mean, it was bad, but it didn't seem as bad as what I'm seeing from the state legislature.
yeah.
And I'd like to understand if they just added on to what the Supreme Court said.
Well, they certainly added on from the original law, which was simply we had to send the taxpayer a notice that if they wanted to redeem the profits, if we sold it, they had to fill out this form. And if they didn't fill out that form, then we move forward the same way we always did. But we did have to get a real estate agent to list it. That was the old law back in 2023. All the way back in October. And, and now the new law is regardless if they want to do the sale through a real estate, we have to go through a real estate broker for at least 12 months.
There are some horrible burdens here on all the municipalities.
Yeah,
And in our case, everything would just probably ended up, the cases we've had in the past, in unclean property,
yeah,
right? Because
right, exactly,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
Well,
Yeah, we
okay.
could discuss this forever, because if they wanted, let's just talk about the one that Larry purchased from the town. Those people could have sold their property
Mm.
years prior to abandoning it,
Right.
and they simply just walked away. And then the mortgage company paid the taxes for several years, and then they walked away. And so there was an opportunity for the prior owner to get money. They just chose not to do so. They just walked away from it. And that's like the properties that we have done are the same. All the same. So anyways, the policy. Do we want to just simply remove the schedule policy?
I don't know how it conflicts with the state law, but it doesn't do us any good to have a policy that conflicts.
Right,
So, another quick question so if we get rid of the policy, we have to remove the policy that we have in place. Do we make a motion to accept this?
no, we're going by the law.
Going by the,
We're just not, we don't have a policy whatsoever, we just.
and we'll figure it out next time
Mhm.
we foreclose.
We'll be figuring it out on 43 Highland Avenue, that's going to be our test fund.
Oh.
Yeah, we will figure it out as we go.
I would make a motion to remove our existing law, so we're not in conflict. And second it.
Two motions been made and seconded to remove the existing policy we have, to lean on, I guess, the guidance, or actually just remove the policy, right?
Yeah.
And we just go by the law. Any other questions or comments on that motion? If not, we'll vote. Jim, Dwayne, Charlie,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Mark said aye.
And then, Mark, in front of you, I put the warrant and notice of election for the RSU 34 budget validation referendum, which will be on June 11th. So that is for the RSU school budget. So on May 29th, the RSU held their budget meeting. And all of the articles passed as presented. And so that budget is $24,101,087.53. And so now we'll have a ballot question on June 11th that will say, do you approve what was approved on the May 29th meeting? And I just need to have town council, make a motion to approve that election warrant and then make this and sign it.
So move.
Seconded. Any other questions on the election warrant? If not, we'll vote. Jim, Dwayne, Charlie,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Mark said aye. I will pass this around.
And then just, because we're just talking about it, don't everybody forget, the election is June 11th from 8 to 8 at the fire station. We're voting on 2 town council seats, our municipal budget. And also the authorization to remove fund from undesignated fund surplus for cemetery development restoration. In the warrant tonight, you may have seen the bill for the spring cleanup. The total tonnage for the spring cleanup was actually 13.17 tons of debris. So that's pretty typical for what we take.
Still amazing every time. It's good service. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. And then the policy to abate, I put that in your boxes today, so I don't know if you've had an opportunity to read it, but since 2000, we've had a policy in the town of Bradley where the tax collector and treasurer could abate real estate and personal property taxes that do not exceed $1. I would like to increase this amount to $5. And my reasoning is because the cost of stamps and envelope and the staff time to deal with these mailings is really increasing. So if we could go to the $5, I think it will be a sustainable policy for another 24 years. And these payments, actually what happens, so it's like in March, I send a 30-day, I send a reminder that the taxes are delinquent. And if they're not paid in full, they'll be written in the town report. And then in June, so I send out that notice. And typically we'll get a payment a couple days later past the deadline, so there's a small balance due for interest. Also, if people pay their taxes delinquent, like they missed the deadline by a week, there's a small amount delinquent for interest. Again, in June, I send out their notice saying you have 30 days to pay your taxes. If you don't pay in full, we'll file a lien, and that lien amount, that paper has an amount. They usually either don't pay that full amount or they pay it a couple days late. So this is like just stuff that happens, just like small interest accrues, or they miss $1 or $2. And so I would just like to have the authority just to do an abatement if it's $5 or less without asking town council.
I move to adopt the policy to abate real and personal property taxes. Small dollar threshold.
So again, quick question, how does that usually happen? They just, I guess, if somebody sends in
So
their,
let's
tax
say,
bill and-
like, let's say somebody sends their tax bill in.
yeah,
And they send in their tax due, the payments due September 24th. And they don't mail it out to September 26th,
okay,
but they still send the same amount.
Yeah.
That's on it. Or the reminder notice, I will say you have 30 days, if you don't pay in full by whatever date, you'll be in the town report, and I'll put that amount there. Well, then they don't pay it till like 2 or 3 days past that, but they still say the same amount that they saw on the notice. And if I could, if it's like when we get a late payment, we always send a note saying you still owe this amount. But if it's over, if it's like $2 or $3, I'm like, I don't know, it's 75 cents now in the mail.
yeah, the dollar.
You know,
50 cents.
Right, an envelope is probably $1 a piece now, I'm assuming, and then me doing letters, stuffing it and stamping it, and, it just.
Is
I don't-
$5 enough?
I think it's sustainable for a long time, yeah, because we don't want people to be like, oh, well, I don't have to pay, but, you know, we wanna keep it reasonable, so.
Any other comments on that motion? Not will vote, Jim, Dwayne,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
Larry,
I,
Mark and I, we need to sign this one as well?
Yes, please. And then lastly, we are going to start preparing for the year end, which is June 30. So, and we usually ask to close at noon time on the day of that preparation, which would be June 28th. And I just want to make sure that that was okay to move forward with that. And that's all I have.
Well, someone asked about two properties, 114, our favorite one,
Yep, I got nothing.
nothing more.
No.
What about 4 Crane?
So I haven't talked to him, but he is putting out 3 or 4 bags of trash every week. And I have noticed, substantial cleanup. It's a slow process, but I do believe that he's making an effort to clean it up.
Are there any others now that we have outstanding?
We have one on Elm Street that, Dean needs to go and revisit. We had just received a complaint about that today.
Okay, thanks.
in regards to, Fort Cram, is there any, hazard or has Charlie said anything about the chimney that's falling in, falling down the road? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have anything in our ordinance that allows us to go in and dictate like that type of,
Without a chimney, it wouldn't be safe, would it?
yeah. No, you're probably absolutely right, but we don't have any, we don't go underneath the uniform standards for code enforcement. Our municipality is smaller, that we have our own standards, and there's absolutely nothing in our standards that addresses that.
You get any comments, Eric, on the chimney?
No comments. You know, is he using it? I don't know. No comment.
Yeah, when I stopped by there, during the spring cleanup day, right, I mean, he was very helpful. He started, I took some
Mhm.
stuff from, and again, he seems like they said he was cooperating. It might take some time, and we know it's gonna take some time, but
Yeah,
as long as he's picking away at it.
it's definitely not a desirable living condition, I totally agree, but we just don't have. I mean, we could go through the process of declaring it a dangerous building, very similar to what we're doing at 114 Graham Street. But I don't know if we want to go down that road.
Anything else? Change to the manager's report? I was just gonna ask one question. You also put in our box, Missy, an update from the RSU Facilities Advisory Committee, and it talked about an issue with the septic system.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that till I read that.
Okay. So they talked about, having to consider that for any potential future, I guess, consideration for the building.
I did have a meeting scheduled with Matt last Thursday. And I don't know what the meeting was entailing, but he asked me to meet him at the school to talk about the future use of Vital Liberty School.
Okay.
And we were getting ready to go for the meeting and the skies opened up and it was very rainy and windy and gross. And he called me, it's like, you want to redo it a different day? Because we were gonna go, walk outside and that stuff. So I'm assuming that we will set up a meeting date in the future, but I'm assuming that the RSU is, leaning towards closure of Vital Liberty School. I don't know that for sure, but that's the assumption that I have.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I know I haven't been able to attend, a couple of last meetings, but I mean, they definitely put some work in it and they talk about the work, even in this update, they've done at the building, so,
I know that the use is changing next year, right, to just special ed?
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
If there's an abandonment, Melissa, does that come back to the town?
so I believe that if they're not gonna use it for educational purposes any longer, they have a year to make that determination. This is what I recall from the consolidation. And then they have to offer it back to the municipal officers.
For market value, do you know, or
I think we just get it back.
we just get that?
Mhm. If the town council wants that, which I would assume we would want that.
That happened down in Orland,
Yeah.
their school,
Mhm.
and they turned it into a pretty good deal for the
I think it
town.
happened in Newburgh too. I think they just turned it into some of their fire station type thing, so,
Yeah, this one has, I think, 8 or 10 businesses in it.
yeah.
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 We'll jump down to new business from you, Missy,
I don't have any new business.
new business from the council, I think there's a line item there, Dwayne, that you had, added about internet providers.
We were gonna, I hope, review, the exclusivity that Spectrum seems to have. There's a lot of fiber optics going in the area,
Yeah,
and I know that right now Spectrum thinks that they have a tie and we can't do a thing. I don't know if that's in a contract or something.
I don't know either. And so when we talked about broadband years ago, when we got that ARPA funding, I was told at the time that if you have high-speed internet now, you're not eligible for any broadband grant funding.
Right.
And so the only part of our community that didn't have high-speed internet was Chimo Pond, and now we do, right?
Yes, we do.
But you only have one provider.
Yes.
Yep. And so, you know, I really don't know. I sent an email last week to the Maine Connectivity Authority and said that the town council starting, you know, we want to start discussion about increasing internet and broadband opportunities for our residents. And I haven't received anything back from them, so I do need to follow up, but I guess I just wanted to start the conversation with, is it because Spectrum, the costs are increasing and we don't have any other options?
Yeah, people are not happy with Spectrum services or the cost.
Mhm.
And I just happened to notice, you know, going through Old Town, there are trucks all over that town over there
Yeah,
installing Fidium fiber.
yeah,
And there's a couple of others in the area
Net
too.
Speed, I think, is over there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so if that's an option and we can have more than one line going by our house, we could choose which line we wanna be on.
Yeah,
I happen to get my internet from Spectrum, but that's all I get. The rest of it I've done away with, but the internet, that's the only option for internet, other than a satellite.
yes.
So if there's something that we can do to give other people the opportunity to come lay their lines and not get into a spat with the Spectrum,
Mhm.
I mean, I'd certainly want to take a look at that.
Yeah, I mean, if they're doing it in Old Town, you said.
Yeah.
You know, how is that company, they just knock on doors and throw the line in without any?
I can't profess to know much about it.
Yeah.
I just know that they have service over there by Spectrum. But yet all of these fiber optic companies are laying line. And I don't know much more than that, really.
Well, they all have to get licenses, right?
I suppose,
To use the poles,
yeah,
starters,
yeah,
and that's a process, that's what took us, it was a big part of the
right,
time lag in getting service down our.
yeah. One of the things out at the lake is that Spectrum didn't want to service it, right?
They didn't want to service, Clifton originally. Instead, I talked to the people in the Clifton Town office when we first had all this discussion going. And, it was about the sign out front of the, you know, the, sign we had.
Yeah.
And they said, they're having a real difficulty with, Spectrum. Spectrum didn't wanna serve, you know, they didn't wanna come all the way out just to serve that sign. And, they were saying, well, there's, you know, people want internet service, you know? And they at the time, they just declined to proceed, so it has to do with the licensing. They weren't gonna make enough off it,
Right,
you know, evidently, because, you know, residents is so spread out kind of thing, I think
Yeah.
that's, as I understood.
Well,
The lady to say,
the same guy that put the fiber out at the lake might have an interest in putting it in town. I thought I understood somewhere along the way that they weren't allowed to do it because Spectrum had an exclusive right.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. What I was told was we weren't available for funding because we had it. And they wanted to make sure other places in Maine that had no service got the funding first. I
Right,
don't know if that's still the case.
but that has nothing to do with a company that wants to come and put their lines up.
Yeah,
It might be possible though that these companies, what you alluded to, may not make money off of
Yeah.
it. Therefore, they may not be interested either.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't mean that anybody's gonna want to, but
right.
I'm just wondering if they have the right with any kind of agreement that we have with
Should
Spectrum.
be options, yes.
I think Premium Choice kind of specializes in serving those unserved areas.
Yeah,
You know, they're all over the state, but
right,
there were small pockets of population here and there
yeah,
that they serve.
Dwayne, I filled out the questionnaire online for Fidium, and they said that we could have it here, but they hadn't planned it yet. But it is coming supposedly,
yeah.
according to them, so they said, stay tuned, stay on the mailing list.
Well, I hope it does.
That I would like to see, the town, and this comes from the power outages that we all had over the winter. That I would like to see somebody make a deal with Elon Musk to bring Starlink into the whole town. Because the nice thing about everybody having a Starlink is it, like the town of Bradley, if you lose the power in the poles, you lose everything.
Yeah.
We have a generator,
Right,
so you can run this facility, but you still don't have any connectivity.
right.
But if you had Starlink, you always have connectivity, because it's right up there.
What prevents us from doing that now, Larry?
Nothing, we could do Starlink right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what it would cost to do Starlink just for the facility here.
I don't know anybody personally that has it, but I'm aware.
One
that-
person on our road that has it, who couldn't wait for Premium Choice to be activated, and that is Sheriff Ryan. Ryan bought Starlink, quite a while back now, and he loves it.
Yeah,
I know quite a few people that have Starlink that instead of putting the facility antenna on, they bought the mobile one. So when they travel in the winter time,
Yeah.
they just take it with them
yeah,
anywhere they go.
Yeah.
And I know that if you look at the ships at sea today, almost every seaman is connected because the ships all have Starlink.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
have you heard anything about the cost advantages or?
you have to buy the unit, and
after,
that's $500 or $600.
yeah, Ryan paid 500 at
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
So that may not have gone up too much, who knows?
I don't think it has,
Yeah.
it might have gone down.
But he gets 100 up and down without any problem.
Yeah.
Speed.
Okay, well, that's the only reason I had it brought up on the agenda, because somewhere I just got the understanding that Spectrum has a lock on our town.
Yeah, I don't know, and
I heard that at one point, long time ago. I don't know whether that's.
I've never seen anything that states it, but
I can, like I said, I will follow up again with Maine Connectivity Authority, and hopefully they'll have some more information.
You might want to look at Starlink too.
I'll look at Starlink, but yeah. I mean, we as a municipality, as far as connectivity, I do understand what you're saying, but we get a discounted rate from Spectrum because of the being in a municipality, with being in a municipal building, being part of the franchise, but yeah, I could definitely look into it.
Any other new business from anyone? If not, we'll jump down to unfinished business from you, Missy,
Not for me.
unfinished business from the council. If not, we'll jump down to municipal warrants. I'll make a motion to accept the municipal warrants that were presented this evening. Motion's been made and seconded for the warrants. Any questions, comments on those? Not, we'll vote. Jim?
Aye.
Dwayne?
Aye.
Charlie?
Aye.
Larry? Marks and I. Next meeting is set for June 18th, but like you mentioned, Missy, next Tuesday is also the election. If you can't make the June 18th meeting, please let the other councilors in town office know. Anything on live stream?
Nothing, no comments, but we have 45 plays.
45,
Yes.
that's great. So that 45 plays means,
What's that, 45 plays? I don't know.
oh,
I have 5.
Oh,
Must be for the last live, maybe 45 people watched it.
this is, live, this is Larry's wearing a yellow shirt and Charlie just took his glasses off and. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Well, good, if there's nothing, on the live stream, I will make the motion to adjourn for the evening.
I mean,
Everybody's in. Thank you.
and we're very happy with premium choice, by the way. I haven't,
we're having a little problem at Cynthia's place, but I think it's probably a line problem, an individual line.
yeah, I mean, I haven't heard any.
Yeah. Everybody else seems to be happy according to what I saw from Ryan's post.